Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek podcast.
Hey, this is Rich McDonald, and I play Commander David Mason on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And you're listening to Everything Geek podcast.
It's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Plo Koon in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Everything Geek, the podcast.
Hey, it's Leif Gaffert. I played Uncle Ben's killer in The Amazing Spider-Man, and you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast.
Hello, I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldovar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek podcast.
You're listening to the Everything Geek podcast, bringing you interviews from your favorite films and TV shows every week, and all of the latest news. Here's your host, Ruari Williamson.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek podcast. I'm your host Ruari, and joining me today, two very special guests. We have artist Mel Pickup and DJ Mark Pickup, both of whom were in Star Wars The Force Awakens last year. They played Athgar Heece and a Jakku Scavenger respectively. How are you both today?
Really good.
Very good, Rory. How you doing, man?
Very good, thank you, as long as my sore throat holds up. Yeah, so getting right into the questions. Now, of course, you both have different backgrounds, like you were both in The Force Awakens, of course, but Mel, you're an artist, and Mark, you're a DJ. So, first starting with Mel, can you tell us how you originally became an artist, which is your actual field of work?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been creative, I've always been quite arty, but it was only really when we moved to Dubai, which was 9 years ago, that I actually picked up a paintbrush for the first time since leaving college. I started just doing a few drawings, a few paintings, putting it out there. Then I started getting a good following, which led on to a couple of exhibitions, which attracted media attention. Then it went on to, I did a couple of collaborations with Adidas and Lulu Guinness. And then because my art is very much comic and superhero inspired, the Middle East Film Comic Con asked me to be a guest artist, which I was for 3 years. So yeah, it all kind of came about from that, really.
That's really cool. It's very interesting that the Middle East has a Comic-Con, because obviously Comic-Cons are so popular now, but it was only when I was doing research for this double interview, it was the first time I realised that the Middle East has Comic-Cons as well, so that's really interesting.
It's absolutely massive. It's over 3 days, and it has over 100,000 people that go through the doors in those 3 days. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it takes over the trade center in Dubai, and besides San Diego and probably somewhere
London MCM.
It's probably in the top 5 in the world, I would say, in terms of the grandness of it. So it's definitely one to check out.
Wow, that's really interesting. It makes me feel really bad for not hearing about it before. And Mark, in your case, you're a DJ, of course, and a musician by trade. How did you originally decide you wanted to become a DJ?
I started playing drums in a band when I was in second year at school, secondary school. So I was playing drums from the age of 13, really, and then I crashed my car at the age of 19 and had to sell my drum kit to fix my car. And the band I was in at the time then got another drummer, and then I didn't perform for a few years. Then I was just going to after parties after going clubbing, and then I'd see a set of decks there and start playing around on vinyl and records. And then that's when I just got the bug for it and started buying vinyl around about 1995. And never looked back, really. Obviously, it's more of a digital era now, but I've gone through all the different, as it's evolved. I've gone from vinyl to CDs to laptops to USBs. So and now I do a live show with my band called Arcade 82.
It's really interesting, and it's great that you were able to make the transition so easily, every time a different digital form came out, because, like you said, it is really the digital age now.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then, well, I'm a geek when it comes to my electronics and all my hardware and software. You see, so I then wanted to I had all this musical equipment at home, all electrical pads and drum pads and synthesizers, and I was like, how can I put these two together? So now our live show of Arcade 82 is two people. We're still DJing, but we've got synths, sampling pads, electric drums, hand percussion, electrical pieces of equipment, loads of and two laptops running all this software. So it is a very geeky show that we do.
That's great. How were you both originally cast in Star Wars: The Force Awakens?
I'll let my husband answer that.
No, that was one of my friends is ex-military, and he was in Dubai, and he was trained because he's ex-military. He was employed by Pinewood Studios to train the stormtrooper extras on how to hold their weapon. So because he's got years of experience of in the military as to holding different machine guns, pistols, etc. I can't remember the name of the gun actually that the stormtroopers' laser is modelled on, but he had to spend a few days showing all the extras how to use this weapon. And while he was there at the base camp, he got told he needed about 30 or 40 extras. But if we put an advert in the paper or we approach local media, then it'll just be absolute chaos. So he had the very fortunate job of carefully selecting 30 or 40 friends, colleagues, people he was trying to do business with, whatever he was trying to achieve. He was trying to pull out people from those different areas, and fair play to him. He was the most popular guy in town for a couple of weeks while he was selected. But the funny thing was, I got asked to do it, and then I did everything I can to try and get Mel involved in it. And the funny thing about it was they asked us to take photographs against a white wall and send all our measurements in, and we submitted all that stuff. And then my friend Lee phones me about a week later, and he says, I've got good news and bad news. He says, the good news is Mel is in it, your wife Mel is in it. I said, okay, that's fantastic. I said, what's the bad news? He goes, you're not in it. And I said, you pardon me? He says, yeah, I'm sorry. He says, you were just too tall to be a stormtrooper. You're 6'4", and you're just too tall to be one of our stormtroopers. I was like, oh my God. So anyway, for the next 7 days, Mel's bouncing around the house, really excited and happy, as you can imagine. And I was like, extremely happy for it in one side of my head, and the other side of the head was like, shut up. This is so unfair. But then anyway, fortunately, I got a phone call about a week later, and they said, we've got a character called Concrete Head. That's not going to be the character's proper name, but that's what the one that we want you to come and check the outfit out for. So I went down there because I'm 6'4". He gave me this outfit which had like American football shoulder pads on it, and I was going for the auditioning for it, but there was a dude there that was just a little bit bigger than me. And so they gave this character to this other guy. So there's only two of us, and I really thought that was my last chance of getting in there. So anyway, I kind of had a somber look on my face, and this guy stopped me. He said, so have you got an outfit? I said, no, I haven't. He said, have you got a costume? No. I said, no. He goes, come with me. And he just literally took me into another room, and I can only describe it as being the best fancy dress shop in the entire world. So I walk into this room, and it's just got all the outfits and all the costumes, and it's just absolutely an Aladdin's cave, if you will, of outfits. So I was given an outfit there to be one of the smugglers on Jakku.
It's really interesting, and I imagine both of you were Star Wars fans prior to being cast in the film, given your excitement.
Oh,
yeah, no, absolutely.
massively.
I mean, I've got a stormtrooper tattooed on my arm anyway, as you know, so I've had that for a while. We've always had Star Wars stuff. Our kids love Star Wars, and
a lot of my art is very Star Wars inspired as well. So we love it. Yeah, we always have done.
I've got 6 glass cabinets full of all vintage late 70s and early 80s Star Wars figures and characters and stuff. So I've been collecting it for years anyway. So yeah, you could say we were Star Wars fans.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just, you know, tattoos and art being influenced by it. Not that big. Obviously, I'm joking. That's definitely big Star Wars fans.
For sure.
Yeah, and how would you both describe the experience of stepping onto the set of The Force Awakens for the first time?
Extremely surreal. You know, we were actually taken in buses. So we went in one bus because it was in the middle of nowhere. You know, you couldn't take your phones or anything. So you went from one bus into where the costume area was. You get your costume and then you go to another area. Because I was a creature, there were great big coolers. And the first time we walked into the creature area where nobody else could go, only creatures and assistant directors could go in there. And the first thing that I actually saw was BB-8. Obviously, at the time, he wasn't called BB-8. I can't remember what they called him. But that, for me, was extremely surreal, extremely overwhelming, but absolutely phenomenal. Just something that you know that you're going to take to your grave. Absolutely unbelievable.
For me, it kind of reminded me the first time I went to Disney World in Florida. And you know, you're getting close to it, and you're seeing some of the, you know, like Universal Studios or, you know, one of those kind of things. But it's like, it was just a surreal experience. I mean, Goosebumps doesn't even come near close to it. And as you got closer and closer to it, it was just, and you were just, and one thing I was sitting going through my head, I kept pinching myself, thinking, how did I do this?
Yeah.
You know, how did I get on this?
Yeah.
Because it was just something you would never ever imagine. You wouldn't even have it on a bucket list because you'd never think it would ever happen. You know.
But also, like when you walk on set and you're actually on the set, the attention to detail in everything was just beyond perfect.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's really great to hear. And of course, you both mentioned the attention to detail is perfect. You both got to wear your own costumes. So how would you describe the costumes you got to wear for your respective roles? Were they comfortable, uncomfortable?
Well, I'm going to go first. Mine wasn't comfortable at all. So I had 3 layers of almost like cloth and robes on. I had big, massive, almost like builder's boots on. But that was the easy part, in 45-degree heat and no air conditioning. But that was the easy part. Then I had to put like an armour over my head, which rested on my shoulders, but then the headdress. So the helmet was very, very uncomfy. I had to wear a bun right on the top of my head, so that the top of the helmet wouldn't rub against my head, because it was literally rubbing my hair away. It was very, very, very uncomfortable and very sore, very hot. And once it was on, you couldn't take it off at all until somebody took it off for me. I couldn't take it off myself because I was all fixed in. So can you imagine in the 45-degree heat in May, when you're on set for very, very long periods of time, because you know, one take might take 20 times to get right. I had a PA that would walk me to and from the set onto the where the cameras were, so that, because I couldn't actually see, I had 2 pinpricks where I could just about see the bottom of my feet, and then that was it. I had no vision at all. And because I had a lot of animatronics in my head, so I had an eye that moved and the bellows, the ears that bellowed. Once that went on, I couldn't hear them talk, so I couldn't hear them say cut. Once they say take, they took the take, then I would turn it on. But at the end, so I could be still walking around, and they could have finished the scene, but I wouldn't know until someone coming up to me saying, right, we finished now. But yeah, it was hard work. But you know what? You just get on with it. You just do it because it's you just get on with it, don't you?
I think what Mel says there is quite true, because every single person that was on that set was in layers. You know, I mean, my outfit had probably about 4 layers actually, and you know, you're in the middle of the desert in 40-degree heat, and even in a vest and t-shirts, it's hard to cope with that. But you just kept on thinking, you know, you kept looking around, thinking where you were, and you just soldiered through it. I mean, my outfit wasn't as complex as Mel's. Mine was literally just robes, really, and kind of like jodhpurs that a horse rider would wear as pants, with big, long boots. I had a laser gun strapped to my left thigh, and I had like a samurai warrior's very tall, pointed hat on with flaps that came down the side and the back, leaving my and a really thick scarf around my neck, sorry, at the center. So that was kind of my outfit, but I'd love to have it on a mannequin in my house right now. I tell you, you know, it would be great to have been able to to keep the costumes, man.
Yeah, that would be great. It would be kind of weird to wake up to every day, I'd imagine, just seeing mannequins of your costumes. It would almost be like looking at yourself, but a lot creepier.
I'd love it.
Yeah, definitely. And how would you both describe the experience of working with the cast and crew of The Force Awakens?
Well, I actually did. I did 2 scenes, one with John and one with Daisy. I never really got to speak to Daisy, but I did actually speak to John, because every time they cut was because we were in the market scene where he would run into me and I'd make he'd say, "Where's water?" and I'd make some weird noise. And a couple of times he literally ran into me and bumped me, and as soon as they would say cut, he would say, "Oh, I'm really sorry, you okay to stand on your foot?" And he was absolutely lovely. He was really, really nice. But they were all
so professional,
you know, yeah. Really, really professional. JJ was just amazing. Well, he's just a dude anyway.
He's a dude, but he was so polite, and he talked to everyone.
Yeah,
you know, he talked to extras. It didn't matter what level you were. You were spoken to the same by JJ Abrams.
Yeah.
And it was a pleasure to be in. You know, it was surreal just to be in his surrounding and just to see the master at work, if you will. You know, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. It's great that JJ paid so much attention to everyone, because like with a film like Star Wars, there's just so many people working on it as well. So it's great they paid so much attention to everyone.
Yeah, no, they did. I mean, it's also military precision. They were also shouting at everyone and ordering everyone around. There's lots of that. There's a big hierarchy of film production, with, you know, the ones at the top passing on a chain of command all the way down the line. So it's, but yeah, it just. I mean, I was actually going to the washroom one day, and this really old boy with a camera stopped me, and he says, "Sir, do you mind me just interviewing you? It's for the making of DVD." And I thought, yeah, definitely. And one question he said to me was, he said, what's the main thing you'll get from this, sir? And I said, the fact that my son will be able to tell his friends that, you know, that daddy was in Star Wars, mummy and daddy are in Star Wars. And that, I mean, our boy's only 4 at the moment, and our little girl's just turned 1. So they're not at the stage yet where they understand that, you know, that we were in the film. So it's going to be very interesting as he gets older for him to try and get his head around the fact that we were in the film.
Because he loves Star Wars.
Because he loves Star Wars already. I mean, if you could look around this room now, obviously it's Christmas Eve, if you could see through the wrapping paper, you'd probably think you're on a set of Star Wars right now.
Yeah, I'll just try and do a mind trick or whatever to try and, like, imagine what the presents are.
Exactly.
I probably shouldn't, I'll end up jealous, but...
So will I.
Yeah, just kidding. But yeah, it'll be crazy once it kind of hits them that you both are in Star Wars. Like, I mean, I haven't been in Star Wars obviously, but my like 3-year-old baby brother, like every time he sees something Star Wars in the shops, he says Ruari. Well, a version of that. My name isn't easy for a 3-year-old to say, but you get the point. Like, even then, he thinks of me when he sees Star Wars. So yeah, I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah. No, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, and did either of you have any particularly, because I'm always interested in behind-the-scenes stories, were there any like funny or particularly memorable experience that either of you had when working on The Force Awakens?
Well, I stole lots of stuff from the set. That's that's one thing that I got some. I was looking around on my last day and I was thinking, God, I can't not. I've got to take a souvenir from here, you know. So I just managed to get this little oil canister, and this, it's a yellow brake disc, really, or a brake disc caliper, sorry, I should say, and all sprayed in yellow, and they're in my cabinet with all my my figures. But the thing is, if to the untrained eye they just look like a piece of junk, you know. But no, they're actually, you know, they're actually souvenirs I took from the actual from the scene, really, from the market of Jakku, just because I thought, got to take something. And BB-8 was too well protected.
For me, I think it was when actually JJ spoke to me. So there was between scenes, and there was a scene. It was actually in the marketplace when John was running past, and I was actually quite. The scene was done in really close quarters. So I would run past, and I'd have to run past the camera, walk past the camera, and they'd say cut. And at the end of it, obviously the first time we did it, I took my helmet off. The PA took my helmet off, and JJ actually looked at me and went, "You're a girl," thinking it was gonna be a guy in the costume, because my character is actually a man. Or a thing, I should say. But he was like, "Oh gosh, you're a girl." So that was kind of like, well, I did quiver, go, oh, you know. But that was really cool. The whole thing was amazing, though. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
There probably is someone looking for that canister right now, to be honest.
No. There was literally hundreds, if not thousands. In fact, there was probably thousands of. That was just the attention to detail of Pinewood that Mel was talking about earlier. There was just so much attention to detail in that Jakku scene that you hardly see in the film, you know. So, but the attention to detail they put into it on all the market stalls and the things that the traders are selling is just you don't even see it on the film. But so much time's been invested into the attention to detail, you know.
Definitely. Do either of you have any upcoming projects that you would like to talk about to wrap up?
The only thing I've got, we don't have anything actually in the pipeline anywhere near as good as that, for sure. But I've had wind that number 9 is starting to be filmed next year, and they are doing a scene back in Abu Dhabi. So I'm gonna, as soon as I get back there after Christmas, I'm going to put all my attention into trying to find out which team's going to be on the ground doing it. So that's all I have to tell you at the moment.
Well, it's still something very interesting. So it's been a pleasure talking to you both on the podcast today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks, Rory. Thanks, guys.
Hopefully I can talk to you both again at some point.
It'll be our pleasure, mate. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So I'll talk to you both again soon. Thanks again for being on the podcast today, and take care.
Okay. Thanks, Rory. Bye.
Bye. Make sure to check out our podcast links. Check out our website, website.everythinggeekpodcast.com/EGP. Check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/official everythinggeekpodcast. Check out our Mixcloud profile, www.mixcloud.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Email us at the following email, everythinggeekpodcast@gmail.com. Check out our companion podcast, Everything Geek Comiccast, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekcomiccast. Make sure to check out the hosts' YouTube channels. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/Separatist Destroyers. Check out Mel Pickup and Mark Pickup on their respective Facebook business pages. Mel's is www.facebook.com/retrocultureuk and Mark's is www.facebook.com/arcade82. And check out channel 1138 where we broadcast live from, www.channel1138.com. Geeks out, everyone.
Yeah, a colleague of mine, an ex-Royal Marine colleague, and a very good friend, Andrew Buckley. I worked with him towards the end of my career in the Navy. He left and became a location manager, and it was
all of your body and movements, and also about strength. Sometimes we actually train with your eyes blindfolded, which can be a bit similar to wearing a creature's outfit, as your vision is often very limited. So